Well, the start of the season is very, very closely approaching, and I must say I'm absolutely terrified.
Well,
I
I
don't.
think the reason for that, I mean, there's a simple reason for it, to be honest. The one reason is the lack of activity, and we put it down to the Euros, I think, when they were on, basically saying how um, because it's on, obviously clubs aren't busy looking at talent because most of the way to the Euros, but now that excuse is kind of out the window. And in terms of outgoings, there's plenty of news, but in terms of incomings, there's no been much movement. And whether that's down to the club like holding tight on, or maybe there's no really any room for leaks. In terms of news, like no many folks leak news, which we used to see all the time. And let's be honest, it's not necessarily a bad thing that we're not really hearing anything, because I'd much rather no hear anything and then out of the blue there's this transfer rumour that's all of a sudden concrete. And
I don't know. I mean, the silence for me is deafening. Honestly, it's like the mere days that goes by where we're no getting ready Tavernier or Gold. So obviously they look like they're on the brink, right? But for me, we're only 2 weeks away for the start of the season. So if go, I mean, you take Tav out the team, right? Okay, you've got a decent replacement there in Sterling, which is fair enough. But it's like Tav, Goldson, Cantwell, all rumoured to be going, but they're all still here. We're starting with Scott Wright against
which
Man
is a
United
shambles,
there,
by the way.
which is, I mean, you're talking about a guy who was almost in his way out who was in his way out the door basically when a
Aye.
deal falls through. And he looks honestly set to be starting for Rangers if we don't get our act together.
Aye.
And for me, I mean, we're talking actually right at the tail end. I mean, once the season had wrapped up after the cup final, is immediately the spotlight had turned to come on and his back staff about this again, the promised rebuild, the sort of promised rebuild that was echoes of Michael Beale's era. Do
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Aye.
And for me, I never had the same feeling with Michael Beale, because actually we seemed to bring some more players in under Beale. It was only once the season kicked off that the sort of dread hit us all when the signings that he made weren't performing, and things were starting to go sour. But for me, we've had what, three pre-season games or something like that, two televised, and I'm just filled with worry. Honestly, for me, the team that we have right now, mate, they're not. That's not a team that can win a league.
No, we
And
know
it's
for a
crazy to
fact.
say because we've not even kicked a ball. We're still 2 weeks for the season starting, but
Aye.
you bring people in. I mean, who are you bringing in? We're already bringing in people who Clement's coming out and saying they're actually not ready. They're not even at this level or something like that. So for me, you're just resigned to the fact that unless a miracle happens throughout the season, you're just resigned to second place again.
Yep, definitely. And the thing is, like, I'm not against bringing in those younger talents, but that should be a supplement to the club. You know what I mean? That
Of
should be working
course.
away in the background. And already, that's how, when I was saying last season set us back more than we thought, because we went from having, a starting 11, at least a solid starting 11 that's capable of competing. Obviously I use that term loosely, and then having in the background putting full focus into those developmental players. But now we're at the stage, and I said this at the end of last season, now we're going to be at the stage where you're not only having to almost rip out the fringe players and the development players, and change that about, and again build on that. We're literally tearing the spine of the team away. We're tearing the squad away. We're tearing the starting 11 away, and we're going to have to rebuild that for start. And see, to be honest, see, to compete in the Champions League, Europa League, compete in the league, that's going to be an issue. That's going to be a problem that, because number one, you've got to bring in
Mate, we
players that have
can't
to be
compete
the.
with Man United's under 18 team.
Mhm,
How we got to compete in the Champions League?
exactly.
Let's be realistic
And where are
here.
we? Where are
And we
we?
put out a strong team. Do you know what I mean? We never switched the 11 that were on the park until like the 70th, 75th minute. I mean, that was a strong team. That's a lot of them are going to be starters next season. They couldn't compete with a Man United B team.
Yep.
With a lot of players who are literally just coming out of their youth system. And it shows you the difference, really.
The thing is, as well, even in terms of we could have come out the end of last season, and in previous seasons, and we said, for especially the Bailey era, we're going to have to bolster that forward position, that forward area of the park, because obviously we've not been finishing our chances. But now we're at the stage coming off the back of that season where we're literally no position is safe, none, apart from Butland and goals. Zero positions are safe. We're going to have to replace, and we're going to have to recruit for every single position, starting team players, because let's be honest, right now, other than Butland, other than Diamande, Barron, to be fair, gave a good account himself, but he's only in the door for a couple of games. Everybody else, I mean, Raskin's injured now, I know, which we were hoping, and he even wasn't even considered a proper starter because he was kind of hoping.
He wasn't a starter at all, mate. Exactly. He hardly kicked the ball last season.
Aye, 100%.
So he's not a major loss, because to be fair, even in the couple of games that he played, again, Raskin for me is just not hitting the sort of level that you would expect for a Rangers player.
No.
But when you're starting up Dessers up top, who, I mean, I go to Twitter at half time during the Rangers games and after it, man, and the amount of abuse this guy gets because it's blatantly obvious that this guy is not the quality we need. And mind, you've got Danilo on the bench there as well, who should be, reaching toward peak fitness coming up. League's about to start in a fortnight. I would even prefer if Clement would take a chance on Danilo over Dessers.
100%.
Because we know what we're getting with Dessers, and it's no much, and it's frustrating. But when you're starting with Dessers up top, and my fear is, mate, I spoke about it at the end of last season, actually, and during the summer, and I said, if we start with Tav, Goldson, Davies, and Barisic. Now, Barisic is away, but now my attention's shifted to up top. If we start with Dessers and Scott Wright,
aye, and Matondo,
we don't have a chance.
No,
mate.
We've not got a chance, and that's the thing. We're now at the stage where fringe players are the only players that we've got left to pick for. The fringe players for last season are the only players. It's a sad state of affairs.
You've let people go who were starters to replace them by people.
And that's not what you say.
Fringe players, like you say.
Exactly, and that's the most difficult thing about the job. The most difficult thing about the job is the fact that we've now realised that even the starters are no longer required. So now we're sitting here where there's no players to come through in each position to fill the boots of the player that was playing in front, because 9 times out of 10 we are seeing the same kind of starting 11 minus a few rotations because of injuries, and there's nobody in to fill the boots. Obviously the only player that I can see filling the boots of the position that's somebody that's leaving if Tav leaves and Sterling goes into that position. Other than Sterling, I mean, Goldson, Shooter's been pish, Davies is pish, Ridvan's the only player that's kind of keeping his position hefty. Early days again, but that's maybe
he started at the weekend as well and didn't look impressive at all. It slipped more over the place constantly. Now you can't really blame him for that. Obviously Hampden was soaked, but just didn't really impress too much. Obviously, again, it's early into his Rangers career as well.
And you can take the pre-season games with a pinch of salt.
Can you though?
Because
that set the tone for last season.
It did.
Do you know what I mean? There. So I don't think you can. I don't think you can take them with a pinch of salt, because ultimately, I mean, your pre-season is the lead. Obviously, it's a lead up to that first game where we flopped last year.
Yep.
And we barely recovered. Do you know what I mean?
And the worrying thing is about how late we're leaving it. Obviously,
the signings, mate, far too late.
I think we're like 9-8 days away for the Euro registration or something.
And
like
do you know
that.
what happens if once they start coming in with a week to go? Clement has the excuse, obviously, of they're still settling in. They've only been in the door a week. What did we say when Beale come in, signed these players? We says, these players need to be, the players we're signing need to be ready to go for the first game of the season. That's when it starts. Do you know what I mean? I can't show up. You can't show up to work on a Monday morning and go like that. So I'm just I'm bedding myself in. Wait till Wednesday and I'll do my job right. That's not how it works.
Yep.
When the league kicks off, and you know there's not going to be much points between us and Celtic at the end of the season. So you can't afford. Both teams will slip up at points throughout the season. But you just don't want to go off to a bad start. We're already off to a bad start in terms of recruitment throughout the summer. We've not got a fucking stadium to play at.
Yep.
People are doing the boards throw already. The season's a ball's not been kicked. It's just a disaster. It's been a bad summer and it's a disastrous vibe to kick off the season.
It feels like a ticking time bomb.
Aye, and see the thing is as well, another thing I want to mention is that even if some of these players, even Dessers in spells, Matondo in spells, even Scott Wright in spells, who does look alright in spells, right? Spells will no win you
leagues.
The marathon, which Clement called it. They'll no win you the leagues, mate. For me, we've no brought in character at the end of the day. Do you know, Diamandi's one that I've got to give credit to because he has a player in my eyes. He gets torn about it. He's very good. He's always looking for the ball.
Technical.
Always wants to get on the ball. Very technical. Actually puts his body on the line as well. Connor Barnes looked alright, so it's not all negative, but two players will get you nowhere at the end of the day. And for me, I wanted character brought in this summer, and it's not happened yet. We're bringing in players who Clement say they've not even trained at this level yet. They're not ready for this level yet and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's insane. And you need to bring in the prospects who've got potential for the future, but
we need to win a league at the same time. We need to win a league.
Honestly.
The thing is, right, and obviously this will be in the back of Clement's mind at the fact that there's a very good chance, going at the rate we're going, Clement could be out the door by Christmas again. There's no doubt about it.
This is the feeling I'm getting, to be honest with you.
Clement could be at the door by Christmas again, and that is, to me,
through no fault of his own, I would say.
No, because he's inherited a squad. He's inherited literally an empty bank account because of the mistakes and the carnage that Beale's staff. He's
inherited
caused.
Dinosaurs on massive wages as well. He should have been at the club a while ago.
English, just journeymen that are coming up on unbelievably inflated wages and no day in the job. I mean, when you look at the likes of Cantwell,
Cantwell,
all these players, the clubs that they're coming for, would have went, oh, well, thank fuck he's away. You know what I mean? And you can see, you can tell.
Kickstart his career again.
Exactly.
At Rangers.
Long gone are these days where we should be trying to kickstart careers again and kind of revitalise careers. That's not who we should be. We shouldn't be paying inflated wages to try and put a player back in the top end of the transfer market.
See, at the end of the day, mate, see if we can't go and find these wee golden nuggets abroad. Why are we not looking at some of the better players that are already fucking playing in the league?
Aye.
Tell me that one. We've already signed one of them, Connor Barnes. No, I think he's looked alright, to be honest. He's not done too much wrong. Obviously, again, he is still embedding himself.
But he's got first team.
But he's got first team experience
in Scotland.
Aye, exactly. So come the first game of the season, he should be ready to go.
Aye.
But why are we not going and looking at some of the better players for, I don't know, anywhere in our league? Do you know what I mean? If we're pure scrounging the markets for somebody who's good and undervalued, there's players in that league that we should take. Lawrence Shankland should have been one of them.
Miller
and still
is another
one of them. Miller should be one of them.
Armstrong Kilmarnock should be one of them. These are players that absolutely, but the board only sees a no-brainer.
Who's the other winger at Kilmarnock as well? There's another winger who's a right
can't
player
his
as well.
Name.
But we should at least be looking. But there's not been any speculation about us going to look at any of these players.
No.
Any of these younger players in Scotland as well, who know what it's like to play in this league as well. I mean, how many times have we said that?
Aye.
people, it's not an easy league to play in, doesn't it, Matt? And especially with the added intensity, like an Old Firm game that can make or break your season.
Well,
This league is
the
not
thing
easy.
is, what you want is you want to bring in, you want to have a squad, a spine, a backbone of a squad that know what it's like in Scotland, used to Scottish football, used to physical football, born here, like, and then you supplement it with players that could help you out in the European stage.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that's easier said than done, but at the end of the day, like, our breeding, but we need to look after our breeding butter. The week in, week out, the teams like your St Mirren's, the Kilmarnocks, your Ross Counties, like all of these kind of teams need to be taken care of week in, week out, and they need a squad that's got the mentality to do that. But far too many times since 55, and even before that, we've had a squad full of players that play well under the glitz and the glamour, and when it comes to that pushing down Tuesday night at Dingwall, they just don't turn up.
Yeah.
It's like a hangover every single week. They just don't turn up, and to be honest, like, there's not been this squad, and I think this is where this was the season. It was always going to be the season that tore them apart, because this was the one where we finally showed a bit of character and pulled the gap back, and then we've said it in a video, this will determine where this squad's at. Having this squad, pull this gap back, show a bit of character, but can they maintain it to the end of the season? And they proved that they couldn't do that. And there's the vast majority of players in there do not have the mentality when the going gets tough to just push themselves over the line. They just can't do it, and at that point you're going to have to rip a squad apart, and that's the job that Clemont's got in his hands. But the worrying thing for Clement is, and I don't think he honestly was told this when he got the job, is the fact that the bank account was empty. We've got so many players in here that are on ridiculous wages that you're going to have to move on before you've even got an opportunity to bring in.
And this is the problem.
Players.
This has been the problem this transfer window, is that he cannot seem to get them out the door.
No.
Obviously, there's Rangers are asking for certain amounts, clubs are only willing to pay certain amounts, and then the players need to negotiate their contract and their wages with other teams as well. And there might not even be an opportunity that comes up for them
when the
because
wages,
they've got a cushy number here.
When the wages are like this, let's say this Cantwell rumour, Cardiff, I think it was, the wages like that, they'll turn around and say, well, his wages are ridiculous, we're not paying that, so we're going to try and recoup some of the money in the transfer fee and negotiate it down.
Also,
because they need to, you know what I mean? It's like, they're not going to...
How can we sit there and demand a certain amount for anybody other than James Tavernier just because the sheer amount of goal contributions, and do you know what I mean? He's a modern day fullback in terms of he's 10 times better going forward than he is at defending. But other than that, I mean, we've got a squad of massive underperformers. How can we ask for like their top price, what they're valued? Obviously, people are going to come in and offer us below their market value.
I mean, you do that anyway. It's just
but because they've not performed in particular. Do you know?
I know. There's so many excuses that other clubs could pull out to say, right, he's not that value. And to be honest, I don't blame them, because I know for a fact, looking at how last season went, and the performances that were put in, you wouldn't be paying top dollar for this kind of talent. And I think it would be bonkers. I've seen a couple of figures, like folk like today, who's in the potential transfer outgoings, and they like to put their own value on that kind of stuff. And some of the figures I'm seeing like flung about, I'm like, mate, if you combined all the players' transfer values, you know what I mean, you're lucky for getting half of that.
But
combined.
for me right now, we're in the sort of situation where it looks as if maybe 3 or starters are on the way out the door. So we need probably 3 or 4 starters, players with experience, players who are
winners, like key, like those.
But players who have developed. We're not looking for development players.
No.
Not at this point in the transfer window, when we've already got in our development players. I wouldn't mind a couple of free agents who are maybe worth a shot, who are young, or some cheap young players as well that you can take a chance on. But we need experience and talent in the squad, and see at the end of the day, we're going to struggle to get it. Unless we get people at the door. And now, mate, it's only 2 weeks to the start of the season, so you're bringing in maybe 3-4 new players. How are you going to get this team to gel and connect within that short frame of time?
I know, and put it this way, like, let's say we get to closer to the Hearts game within a few days of this Hearts game and there's no at least a couple of signings on, the pressure is going to be fucking on, because I don't think,
Pressure's on
see with
anyway.
this current squad, I don't think, I know we don't beat Hearts.
Mate, the club across the country are sitting knocking back, I mean, multi-million, you're talking 15, 20 million pounds, they're just sitting on players like Matt O'Reilly, and we are sitting here like, what the fuck's happening to our
Can
club?
somebody take Scott Wright back? You know what I
Scott
mean?
Wright, mate, cannot believe he's still at our club.
I know.
That says
Well, I look at the
everything you
players
need
as
to
well,
know about
even
the
if-
state we're in.
Even look at Sam Lammers. Why would Sam Lammers want to go and take a cut at wages elsewhere when he can sit here on his overinflated wage and play in the B team for the full
You
year?
just think of the sort of the
Why?
way we've treated our players as well, like in terms of you've got folk half in, half out the fucking team, half, do you know what I mean? Half in, half out the club. You've got Hadji, we don't fucking know what's happening, whether Hadji's away or Lammers,
Aye.
half in, half out a door. It's honestly, it's not a good
And
environment.
imagine getting into
Rangers.
imagine getting into the start of the season when we're in the stage where we're like, oh shit, now we need Lammers, now we need Hadji, because we need to make up the fucking numbers with
See,
a
to be
squad.
honest,
Like,
I mean, I would take Hadji or Scott Wright, fuck's sake.
aye, I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye, I know.
Because
I
we
know.
done Hadji a disservice as well. I think Hadji was, honestly,
It
I
seemed
think he
like
was sent out on loan to. It was a rash decision.
Mind I think he called something out in a press conference, and after that, like, Beale just get rid of him. But like,
That's
it's-
Beale's ego, isn't it? Really.
well,
to be
exactly.
fair?
And since then, obviously, he's never going to return. We were hoping when that happened, we were like, right, send Hadji out on loan. He's not getting a lot of minutes.
I mean,
Maybe
he
we'll go
looked
out
decent in
and-
the Euros at times as well, Hadji. You know what I
At
mean?
the same time, Hadji was one of the players like where I had like I remember him with spells as well.
That seems to be all we can muster up in our team at the moment, to
It's
be
just wee
honest. We don't
spells.
have. I just cannot find it in me, mate. I can't remember the last time I went in. Obviously, you're talking when we get demoted to League Two, we're playing in League One, the Championship. But obviously, we know it was a formality that we were going to go on, but one day, but I cannot remember the last time I had this sort of feeling during the summer.
I just think
Going into the,
like,
I just
honestly,
can't, I'm looking and I don't see a team who's capable of winning the league, so
No.
I can't get my hopes up.
No.
Normally you go in, it's a new season, you get the signings, some of the signings in that you want, and you maybe an element of excitement, mate. I'm fucking dreading it. The excitement on my part, dread, mate. And then you've got a farce of a situation with the stadium. People
Aye.
still 2 weeks out for the start of the season. People have still not got a clue where they're sitting.
well, it's see for last season to this season, it's just a whole series of just incompetent decisions from start to finish.
And then you're not getting any
No
communication for the
communication,
board
aye.
about what's going on behind the scenes or
No.
what's going on. You're hearing trickles of things coming out through the media, the newspapers, alternative
fan
media,
media.
insiders, fan media. I don't know, mate. It's no sitting right with me at all. What can you do? I mean, you're going to show up at the start of the season and support your club regardless. Normally, I do it with an ounce of hope, and it's crazy, mate, because I were like, we thought we wouldn't need to be a couple of miserable bastards again for another season, but mate, the season's not even started yet.
And we're already miserable bastards.
Hard not to be though.
It is,
Considering
because,
the situation.
I mean, things within the club, like we could, because we've almost graduated through the stages. At the start, we blame managers, get rid of managers, get into this cycle.
Yeah.
Now we've moved on to blaming the players, and now we've graduated again to go, right, this club is clearly not been run.
And I think that's the main thing, mate. It's
Competently.
no just on the park. See, if it was just on the park,
Mhm.
it'd be an easier problem to solve. But actually, the incompetence is coming on the park and off the park, because if we want to do well over the long term, short term as well, but long term, obviously, Celtic are miles ahead of us in terms of their recruitment, their buying and selling.
They know what they want. They
That's
go out and get
major.
it. Like they,
And they're winning the league, so they're getting automatic Champions League. Obviously, that ends next year, right? But the amount of money we're bleeding out is insane.
it's bonkers.
And our
Again,
recruitment, we're
because-
letting people walk out the door
can't
expire their contracts, people who were worth a couple of mil minimum at their peak. And it's just the club's been run terribly.
Aye, the only person that's come up from down south that kind of come up and had that kind of undertone want to revitalise his career and get first team has been Jack Butland. That is it.
Yeah.
That is it, a goalkeeper. That
and
is
he's
it.
showing some consistency at very least.
Exactly. But other than that, you're talking like Dowell, Cantwell, you're talking all these kind of players that are coming up on overinflated wages. Not even that, we've had players coming for overseas and overinflated wages. Somehow we've got players like Dessers coming over, which, to be honest, apparently Beale had flew over to hand select Dessers. Fuck knows what he'd seen in him, because again we were debating the statistics for Dessers' previous seasons before he even signed, and a lot of people were, in terms of Lammers. Like, it seemed to me the fans knew the kind of player they were getting before that management team did, and obviously I have more trust in Clement to kind of. It looks like he's gone down the route of the more like, we're bringing in unknowns. This is a player trading model, and I get that, but our main problem is the new. That could get completely demolished with the mistakes of previous management teams, with the board pairing up with previous management teams, because now we've got and I knew when Clement came in, we did say it was not going to be a fix, like an overnight fix. It's got to be a couple of transfer windows. But see, the more layers you peel back, you go, fuck, this could be 3 transfer window fix now. This could be 4.
Do you know another thing as well? Because it's been revolving door at Rangers, and the quality signings just simply haven't been good enough. But another thing that sticks out for me majorly is that when I look at that team, I see a team of individuals. I actually don't see a cohesive unit at all.
No.
I don't see a team there that
it's
can
hard to
go
be
the
a
distance.
cohesive. The thing is, it's hard to be a cohesive unit when you've not got the quality.
And you barely have a starting 11. I mean, we
You
barely
barely
had a starting 11 last season.
Exactly.
So I see a relationship. The only one that comes to mind really is between Tavernier and Goldson, and that's a relationship obviously that's developed throughout the years. A relationship honestly built on failure and mistakes.
It's went stale.
It's
very stale.
But then I look at the rest of the team, and I see 11 individuals, to be honest. And I know there's some new signings and about that, but I don't know. For me, I do not look at that Rangers team and feel like they're going to be successful. I hate to say it, man, but
it's the fact. What
you can't deny it. What's the point sitting here and denying it?
No.
You know, I hope we're wrong, or please prove us wrong.
We're sitting here like under 2 weeks after the start of the season. We've not signed one first team starter.
Aye, so
not one. Like, Barron's young enough to know, we don't know if he's going to be a mainstay in the team. Maybe we were asking it, but we've not signed one first team starter where we go, right, they've got the quality to start, they've got the quality to hit the ground running,
and there's all make a difference.
All these names are getting flung about. You hear rumours left, right and centre, like, but not one of them's getting signed. Not a single one. But and all we hear are rumours of who's leaving. You're almost at the stage where you're going, well, we need to see these incomings, or else, like, Christ, what's the alternative? Do we get rid of these players? Well, we're going to get rid of Tav's goal contributions without actually bolstering that forward line. And now we're at the stage where we don't even know when the season starts where we're going to get these goals from, because we're just firing blanks up top constantly.
It's the same old story, really.
So if you've enjoyed the podcast, let us know your opinions on what we spoke about. What's your thoughts on the season starting? Are you excited? Are you like us and completely demoralised? Again, give us all your opinions. Remember, the Blue Sea Channel memberships are available.
Demoralised, man. The fucking season's not even kicked. Forgive us, we hope we're wrong.
But if you're on desktop or laptop, the wee join button's up there. If you're on any other device, the link's down in the description. It's a great way to help us invest a wee bit more back into the content. That link's down next to our socials if you want to go over there and check it out and give us a follow on them as well. That would be great, and we'll see you next time.